guys, this is Mark with NCEngravers, and today we're going to be talking about the SIG Macro model slide. Now, over the last couple of weeks, if you've been following us on Instagram, you've noticed that we posted a picture of a macro sporting a RMR CC optic. A lot of questions of how does that process work? How do I get that done? You know, I want to take you guys through each and every question that is involved with that service. I want to touch base on everything from iron sights to optic to what's going to happen when we do that cut, what the expected turnaround time is, how do you get it to us. I want to talk about each and every one of those topics. So first and foremost, this is the slide that you have. It happens to be a SIG Macro slide. You've got a plate on it. It comes from the factory. And of course, as you know, it will work with a Romeo 0, the Holosun 407, 507K. There are a range of other optics, the Swamp Fox Sentinel, that do work with this socket the way it is right now. However, there is an option of upgrading it to the RMR CC optic, and we want to go from this to this to be able to run that RMR CC optic. So first thing I want to talk about is the socket itself. Okay, as we discussed, it really won't take the RMR CC optic. I know there is a lot of confusion online about, hey, I want to get a RMR CC, and I've heard people saying that it fits and it doesn't fit. That is the correct answer. It does not fit. You guys can see the plate where the socket would be. You can see the optic is too large. This optic will not fit on this gun without some sort of modification, okay? So with that being said, that's one of the reasons why, one, you're watching the video, and two, you're probably a little bit more curious about how do we make that work. When you send a slide into us, we're gonna end up doing a full new socket on the slide. That means this rear cover plate is gonna come off. It's not going to be able to be used again, and then we're going to cut a new socket for the RMR CC. We're going to show you that a little bit better. This is one that's already been cut. So these are the existing holes for the cover plate that comes from SIG. You can obviously see these are the screw holes that are for the optic. They're slightly farther forward. So a couple of the other things to take note of, if you take a look here, and that is how much thinner or less material we have from where the barrel locks up right here where my left hand is to the right hand. So the socket is cut pretty big. We end up cutting to the rear. You can see where the upgraded suppressor sights are on my left. There's a little bit of metal left over, so it doesn't hit the optic, but there's a lot of metal left over for the dovetail. So we've got a nice, secure, solid dovetail, and we're not cutting into the socket. And then, of course, on the right-hand side, you can see that that's kind of where that lays. Okay, this is your factory look, and this is your upgraded look. This is the RMR CC. Fits down into this guy just like this, and it will be a nice snug fit. There is no traction, extra movement or play that you're going to get for in the back zone or in the front zone. So when this is cut, the optic itself does have a radius cut on it. There's a radius cut here, straight cut in the back, and if you don't put it in exactly correct, it probably won't go in because it is a pretty solid fit. So that is it. There's no play front to back. It's pretty secure. You are able to get a full co-witness. These are the SIG sights. Now keep in mind, not all suppressor sights are built exactly the same. Some come a little bit further forward. We can see that and take note of that on the plate. That's why they've scalped the plate right here. So if you were to go with a set of different suppressor sights, it may go into where the plate is. So they've kind of accommodated that feature on the macro slide itself. And something to take note of is, now that we have to shorten this up here, you want to make sure that it's not cut too far to where, if you're using a night vision or you're using a Trijicon set of sights, that you're going to have a problem. So you want to make sure that the socket is going to work with any of those set of iron sights with the optic. Okay, so it's not, we're not forcing our customers into, oh hey, you've got to go with the SIG sights if you're going to go with the RMR CC, otherwise they will hit, and you guys can see there's a gap there. I will tell you already that it's a much closer fit on some of those other iron sights that are out there on the market. So if you're thinking about having another company do this cut work, check their background, make sure they've got a good track record, make sure they've got a lot of feedbacks from actual customers. If we cut too close to the front, you're probably going to crack this. If you cut too close to the back, you're going to either be forced to use a different set of suppressor sights like the SIG because they don't hang over as far, or you may just find out it doesn't fit at all. One of the other questions that I know you're thinking is, what about a full-sized RMR? Will it fit on there? To answer that question a little bit better, the RMR, the full-size RMR, versus the CC from front to back is the same. So, okay, so from the front of the glass to the rear, they are the same in length if you didn't know that. However, one is obviously wider than the other, and I'm going to spin this around here, and you can actually see some light through there, and I probably don't have it 100% centered. Actually, we do. It's pretty close. We just can't catch it. But there's some light here and some light there. And you can see that what would happen is that that would cause an issue with the screws. So the screws would end up being protruding out through the sides of the slide. As of right now, I just don't think it's something that we would offer. I'm sure there's some sort of a solution of putting some sort of a piece in here and cutting out the side to making that open up a little bit more. I think there's an option for that. I'm not sure there's a value in it. When you can buy the CC and it fits like it's supposed to, we don't have any issues with it, you know, hanging over or anything major like that. These slides do have an edge chamfer on them, so I do recommend that you use a sealant plate to get a full sealant on the gasket. That's just a matter of the slide not being as wide as the Optic on the top side. So, but overall, really nice appearance, the way it sets up. Really cool. Guys, a couple of the other things I want to talk about is how do you get it to us? What's that turnaround time? So you are able to use the web page for the service, right, to process your order. This is SIG's coating. Okay, so this is the factory, what they call a black nitron coating. This is our coating here. Very close. This actually matches the frame a little bit closer than the factory. So that's, if you're looking for just wanting to go back to a factory look, this is just black. This is not Cerakote. This is one of our own cocktails of a solution of coloring that we've had a really good success with, and just haven't had anybody come back with any issues with it. So that's black. You do have the option once you add it to cart to choose a different color. Maybe you want to go with tungsten or something else. You do definitely have some other options. You don't necessarily have to go just with black. The other thing to take note of is, if you'll notice on the drop-down menu when you add it to the cart, there's some other slides in that drop-down, and one of those is going to end up being the Spectre comp. Any of the SIG slides, if you pretty much go like this and you look at the back of the slide, this is the only thing that makes them different from each other. Okay, whether you have a SAS, a 365, an XL, a Macro, a Spectre, you know, any of those. There's a new XL that's out there that has a rear sight. This is all pretty much the same on all the SIGs. It all comes down to the configuration of how did they build the top of it. Okay, the plunger's all in the same place, the guts are all the same. So with that being said, if the Optic is located in front of a dovetail, it can be upgraded to a RMRCC. If there's a plate system on here and you take the plate off and you lose your iron sight to add an Optic, like the XL, you cannot go with the CC model. I will explain that a little better. So if we were to take this Optic and move it to the back, right, and cut all the way through the dovetail, you're going to notice that this screw over here by my finger would align with this plunger right here. Right, and you can kind of see that because they're side by side. Of course, this would be over here. But the idea is that there will be nothing for this screw to thread into because it will be right above that plunger. So, once again, if you have a slide like a Spectre and there's a rear iron sight, it can be modified. If you have the new P365 XL, I've seen them on their webpage, where they are selling a slide that has a cover plate and keeps a rear iron sight, it can be upgraded to an RMRCC. If you have the original, where the cap comes off, the iron sight falls off, it's a done deal. Unfortunately, there's no way to cut that Optic to the rear of the slide to make it work on that gun. Okay, and we would have to cut to the rear of the slide, of course, because there's a big socket there from where the plate was. So guys, hopefully this has been encouraging. Hopefully you understand this process a little bit better. This is a 2 to 3 business day turnaround time from when we receive it, right? Place your order on the emailed receipt as a shipping address, mail it in, we'll let you know when we got it. 2 to 3 business days, we'll mail it back out. You'll be good to go. Everything will be as planned. We do recommend that you provide the Optic. We'll go ahead and get it installed. There's no charge to install optics. There's no charge to install iron sights. You should provide them. They can be very difficult sometimes installing these, and there's no reason for you to put them in when I can put them in and I'm not going to charge you. Right, so that's just logic there. Get them ordered, send them in. I'll make sure everything is aligned correctly on the way back out, and you'll be good to go. I do believe, just for future reference, I know we've had a lot of questions, I do believe we're going to offer some side windows, a top window, some stuff that matches this design a little bit more on the Macro. We haven't gotten that far yet. We haven't had anybody come forward and say they want to process that order yet, but I do know that the design has already been created. We just haven't ran it yet. So keep us, following us, keep on track of what's going on with us on Instagram and Facebook, that's where you're going to see that posted first. So if you're thinking, hey, I want to do the RMRCC, but I do want additional work at the same time, you may want to wait until you see some of that other work come out and process the order all at one time. Guys, if you have any questions, feel free to give us a call. We do have a phone number on Google. We have a phone number on our webpage. Feel free to send us an email, send us some pictures, explain it a little bit better. This is my hardware. This is what's going on. Can it be done? What do you think? What's the turnaround time? Sometimes we do get a little bit further behind than the 2 to 3 day when we run a sale, right? So keep that in mind. The 2 to 3 business day does not fall underneath sale event stuff. You're spending a little bit less because it's on discount and it's taking a little bit longer to get it back. But throughout the year, typically and normally, it's a 2 to 3 business day turnaround time on all Optic cuts, not just the macro upgrade. Guys, if you need anything, just let us know.